And it looks like we have enough for quorum, so I would like to convene the Carroll County Delegation for August 27th. And if you would all join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And one thing that we're going to do, you can...
Yeah, I was going to say, just get rid of that chair.
We'll have an extra one. Before we go into public input, I would like to be able to have Sandy at least standing up in your chair. No, I mean on the floor by your chair. And I heard that you had a beautiful and a happy going away party on Wednesday. And I'm sorry that I missed it. My daughter needed me, so I wasn't here. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart how much we appreciate what you've done for Carroll County, how you got from the old nursing home to the new nursing home, how you got all of that organized together, and how much you, it is so obvious how much you love the county and you love the residents over there. So we are very, very thankful for everything you do. We are very sad. I am very sad to have you leave. I know that it is necessary for you to go and take care of yourself. So it's one of the reasons I'm leaving. I'm going to take care of myself. You take care of yourself. And we have a card that is going around that's for you, but I would like to be able to give this to you. These are from somebody that you know that runs a flower shop. Her name is Linda. And she said that you would love these, and I can look at them, and they're African violets, and so I'm sure that they were good. So thank you, Sandy, for everything you have done and how much you've given to Carroll County. Thank you very much. Along with Sandy being our at the nursing home, I also want to say for all of our employees how much it is obvious that they sometimes love their jobs, but I know that they love the residents and that they love the people of Carroll County, and I want to thank you all for all that you have done and how much you have supported at times the delegation and sometimes been angry with us, which is fine. That's part of what happens. So, again, Sandy, thank you very much for all you've given us. Is there any public input? Yes, sir, if you would state your name and then your issue.
Yes, my name is Tracy Newland. I'm here on behalf of Carroll County Department of Corrections and Council 93 have asked me. Members of the delegation, thank you for allowing me to address you today. On behalf of the ASME Council 93 and Carroll County Department of Corrections, we have voted on a tentative agreement with the commissioners of Carroll County. The decision didn't come very easy for all of us. Carroll County correctional officers have been underpaid for some time now. In fact, we are the lowest paid facility in the state of New Hampshire. Colossus County currently starts out at $15.40. Belknap County starts out at $15.53. Rockingham County starts out at $14.90. Merrimack County starts out at $14.72. And our officers are starting at $13.25. Nearly $1.50 less an hour than everyone else in the state and our colleagues. Last year, our Group 2 insurance went up 2%. And this year, our health insurance costs went up 14.4%. For the past 3 years, our pay increase has been 30 cents or less an hour. And not even close to the 14.4% that our insurance increase this year. Each year, we're losing money to feed our families and to pay our bills. Over and over again, I have watched trained and experienced correctional officers from our facility leave and go to other places. In the year of 2004, 7 officers left the facility. In the year of 2005, 5 officers left the facility. In the year of 2006, 8 officers left the facility. In 2007, 7 officers left the facility. 2008, we had 6 officers leave the facility. In 2009, I apologize, I couldn't get that data. In 2010, we lost 5 officers. In 2011, last year, we lost 11 officers. And this, excuse me, this year so far, we have lost 5 officers already this year. Ladies and gentlemen, the cost of losing a trained and certified officer and then hiring a new officer to take their place is $8,774. There is really no way to calculate the experience that we lose every time we lose an experienced officer that has been working for 3 or more years. And that hasn't included the cost of earned time, assuming 1 employee per year is hired, trained, certified, takes all their sick leave and vacation time, and then quits and is replaced. The total cost to the county is $21,386. In 2009, the total sick hours and vacation hours used was 5,970.5 hours in our facility. In 2010, we had 5,183 hours used, and last year we had 6,272 hours, 0.3 used on sick time and vacation time. That's an awful lot of money to risk losing on people who are going to leave, and make no mistake about it, low pay has a direct relationship to low morale and personnel loss. According to the website, correctionalofficersexam.org, the average pay for a correctional officer in the state of New Hampshire is $40,000. I have worked at corrections for 3.5 years. Last year, I made $31,166, and that was with my overtime. And that is without benefits of any kind or step increases, meaning that if I've worked there for 3 years and an officer comes in and once he's off probation, he makes the same amount of money as I do. If the delegation approves the tentative agreement that is on the table today, it would give each employee $2,620.80 raise a year, still leaving Carroll County Correctional Officers the lowest paid facility in the state. We don't feel that we are asking for too much or being greedy when we ask for this raise. Our benefits are less than other facilities are offering also. All other facilities have a longevity pay, a merit raise, or step increase. Carroll County officers get none. Officers in many other facilities receive a hazardous duty pay. Carroll County gets none. We here at the House of Corrections work very hard for our county. Contrary to what has been written in the papers, we are not overpaid babysitters or just security guards. We are dedicated professionals doing a job nobody else wants to do. Many of us are military veterans who are bringing considerable training and experience to the jail. Carroll County Department of Corrections has received a great deal of recognition over the past couple of years, with Correctional Officers of the Year, and just recently, the 2nd honor grad at the State Correctional Facility down in Concord. It is our hope that the delegation considers the information I have given you today and approves the agreement that is on the table for the employees of Carroll County Department of Corrections. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Could you give us a copy of your letter so that we can have that for the record?
I can. This is the only one I have. If you want me
Okay.
to make copies, I can.
And if you just get the office to make one, just so that we will have one for the record, and thank you very much,
Yes,
Tracy.
ma'am, I will.
Yes, Representative Merrill.
Yes, could I ask him a question?
Yes, go right ahead.
I have one question. Under your new contract that you've approved, what is the starting pay for an officer?
The starting pay didn't change, sir, for the contract that we're starting. It's just pay increases for the employees who still work there.
Yeah, starting wage stays the same.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions, Representative Babson?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Sir, the starting pay stays the same. After you complete your training, do you get an increase? Or does that starting pay stay for a year or 2 years or whatever?
I'll try to explain that when
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Commissioner. Okay, you want to
Yeah.
answer that now?
They get 50 cents an hour after 6 months, and they get another additional 50 cents after they go to the academy. Now, not everybody can go to the academy the first year. So in the contract, they would get 50 cents after the first year. They go to the academy, let's say 18 months after, they don't get anything in addition. Okay, so they'll end up getting $14.25 after the first year.
Thank you.
Okay, Representative McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Are there any additional increases, costs in the new contract other than the pay raise that we're discussing?
No, they wanted increases in longevity, which we don't have any longevity for them. And as he said, we don't have any hazardous duty pay. Other counties have hazardous duty pay, which is above what those hourly rates are. I may be wrong, but my philosophy was that when they accept a job as a correctional officer, hazardous duty comes along with that. They don't get any extra pay for hazardous duty. It's another area that you'd have to negotiate. I'd rather see them get their hourly rate, which I'll explain as we go along.
Yes, and for the members of this is not, that we are going to have a discussion on the contract as a whole, so it
Yeah.
will not be under just public input if you want another question, or if you can hold it till we get into our full discussion of the contract. Are there any further questions? Okay, is there any further input from the public? Yes, it's Wiley. Susan, good morning.
Susan Wiley, there still is rumor about tearing down the nursing home, and I would just like to say, first of all, it seems to me that would be squandering one of the county resources. Secondly, I would like to say that I do see that a homeless shelter of some sort could indeed be something for consideration down the road. And I understand there are numbers that suggest we may not need a homeless shelter in Carroll County. I would say, number one, we are the only county without a homeless shelter. And number two, when we look at numbers, we also need to consider the fact that we have veterans who are coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq. And looking at numbers 5 years ago is not as important as projecting numbers out for the next year. I would also like to say that the needs, the mental health needs are quite different than before, in that many of our veterans have been exposed to bombs and explosions, many with post-traumatic stress syndrome, and many with traumatic brain injuries. So I would hope that as the conversation about the nursing home continues, we think about the earlier conversations that we've had for years about using that building for the extension service and certainly not tearing it down. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public input? Yes, ma'am, and your name?
Carol Delorier, Brookfield, and I also support not tearing down the wings and to use it for what she suggested, a homeless shelter for the vets. I think that would be very good for this community.
Yes, and for the public, we do have on our agenda a discussion with Commander Ayers of the VFW Post 46 that apparently will be a part of what he is talking to us about. So again, we will be discussing that after we get through with most of our business. So is there any further input? Yes, sir.
Funicello from Jackson. I rise to support the use of the wings from the nursing home as a shelter, whether for the poor, unfortunate, or for military veterans that come back for more. I think that we're all too ready to send people out to fight wars, that when they come back, we should lend every bit of support we can to them when they get back. And I think that is something this county needs, should have, and especially where there's groups that are going to pay for it, and it won't come out of county funds, at least most of it. I think that's something we should do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there any further public input? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much for your time. I would like now to go into the discussion of the jail and the House of Correction contract, and I know the Commissioner has something for us to look at and to listen to.
Thank you.
Didn't get back here. Would have been very nice to have this before we had discussion with it. Yeah, you know,
What I'm passing out is the average minimum, average maximum from all the counties in the state. If you look down at the bottom where the yellow is, and way down where it's uncertified correctional officers. The survey was taken in 2011, and it shows that under the certified correction officers, the average minimum, they give a range, each county has a range. The average was 1606, and the high was 2506. Under the uncertified correctional officers, 1395, minimum and maximum was 1679. Just sort of keep that in mind. As the good officer who is the steward of the correctional department for the union has already said, and I just put down these numbers here, he had added some others like Rockingham and so forth. These are the starting wages. As Representative Babson asked, these will get 50 cents an hour more. Yeah. After they complete their 6 months probation, okay? They get another 50 cents an hour after they complete the academy or within a year. Now, we can't afford to send all our officers to the academy because it would be short. So what we've done is we've given that 50 cents to them within the year. They have to complete it within 18 months. Okay? There's only 2 academies, I believe, a year. Correct me, Jason, if I'm wrong. And we can't afford to send all our new people. And you heard the list of people that are new in our correctional facility. So we can't afford to send them all off at the academy at the same time. I also would like to say, yes, Mr.
Can I
Dixon.
ask a quick question?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman? I'm somewhat confused. I understood you to say they get 50 cents an hour, and then another 50 cents when they complete their certification, but if they go a year and a half after they've been here, they don't get the 50 cents. Could you?
That's right, because they get it the first year. In the contract, we said it's not their fault that they're not getting
Okay,
that.
so they get
because-
50 and 50, and then they don't get it, and if they go after the
Exactly,
year. Okay,
exactly. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Jason said there are 2 academies a year for correctional officers. This is the one in Concord?
Yes.
Okay. And I heard that there were roughly 5 people on average that left during the year. I mean, that was what he said. And then I'm hearing that you can't afford to let half go 6 months and the other half go the other 6 months. I find that particularly concerning, in that if we're trying to upgrade the salaries of the people in the county, which appears as what we're trying to do, then we should make every effort to schedule them for the academy. And if there's a problem with academy scheduling, because they only have 2 a year, I'm not exactly sure how different this is than the other, kinds of things that the police academy does. But has anyone talked to the academy about working in another class? Because if we're having this problem, one would assume that other counties are having similar problems, and that it may be a push from some of the counties to schedule another class or to do something different. Because as I'm saying, that the police academy is very open to whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
And if the problem is not
scheduling people, but rather the financial side of, there's no cost to sending people to the police academy, other than
We pay their salaries.
we pay their salaries, and I think we pay them to drive back and forth or something. But
Yeah.
there's no cost, because that is one of the things that the state provides. And I know because I've had arguments with people over the police academy and the cost, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm not exactly sure, you said that, some of the problem was cost. And if there's a problem there that I'm not aware of, then that's an issue that needs to be taken up with the finance committee. And so I'm just,
Okay.
I'm a little confused as.
Okay, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, it cost us $800 to send a person to the academy?
It's $500.
$500, okay.
And if I may, sir, the Police Standards and Training Council, ma'am, they do not have any oversight of the Corrections Academy. The Corrections Academy is sponsored by the New Hampshire Association of Counties.
Okay.
Police Standards and Training, the only portion that they have is they approve the curriculum, and they host the academy in their facility. Outside of that, they have no impact in regards to scheduling or training, if you will. It's all done by the New Hampshire Association of Counties. It's scheduled through the executive board, and for at least my career, we've been doing 2 a year on average. In times of need, we have done 3, but there is, again, a financial impact put against the county for that $500 certification fee per officer.
Okay. So what we're, if I may, so what we're saying is for $2,500, we can't send the people. I think that's a stretch, but that's, if they're 5 on average, 5 times 5 is 25, so.
We will.
I think that's a stretch,
We'll
but,
make every effort to get our people certified, if we can.
well.
I'm president of the New Hampshire Association of Counties,
Mhm.
and I will survey the other counties to see what their demand is. Okay?
Okay, well.
All right.
Yes, Representative Fleming.
Yeah,
We
just-
take care of the questions.
Just a question about the, getting back to the attrition and retention rates. What percentage of officers who leave have completed the academy? Is there a difference? Do we have more people leaving before or right after completion of the academy? What happens? Do you have any idea?
Jason?
I'd have to go back and relook at those figures, sir, to adequately answer that question. Some of the people have been gone before their completion of their probation. They just find that corrections is not a fit for them. Others, we have invested the time in sending them to the academy. And quite honestly, they talk to other people, they find out what the benefit packages are from other facilities, working environments, new facilities. Luckily, we're not in that position anymore. We built that facility a few years back. But they learn, they talk to the other colleagues, and some people move on to other correctional facilities, and some people get out of corrections altogether.
Okay. Representative Schmidt,
With
and
all,
a number.
with all due respect to the members present, I for one would really like to hear the commissioner complete his presentation, and then maybe we could ask him some questions.
Thank you.
Okay, let's try that. Write your questions down, members, and then we will continue on. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Let me give you a little background. The first and second contracts that I worked with the House of Corrections, there was no attorney fees. I did it myself. It was an agreement between the officers at the correction facility and myself. We sat down at the table and we worked out what needed to be worked out. No cost for attorneys. The third contract, I did not do. It was done by Commissioner Albee. This fourth contract I did, and we had to have an attorney. Attorney's fee was $5,000. $5,125. We didn't come to an agreement, even with attorneys. This is our share now, this is our attorney. They had their own attorney. We didn't come to an agreement. and we had to go to mediation. All right, that cost us $641, our share. Union picked up the other share of the mediator. All he did was work from one room to the other to see if we could come down to some kind of an agreement, which we did on June 7th. The first year, the agreement, and we agreed, the commissioners unanimously agreed to the contract, as well as the House of Corrections Union. The first year was 30 cents an hour. I'm suggesting that 30 cents come out of our 2012 budget. That it comes out of our 2012 budget, no increase to the taxpayers. 30 cents an hour. And that is equal to about $11,253, okay? The second year of the contract was 40 cents per hour. And also, because of the deficiencies in comparing us to other counties and why we're losing a lot of our people, we agreed to go to the 50 cents. So the second year is 90 cents, which would cost us $33,759 in the 2013 budget.
Could you repeat that number, please?
$33,759.
Could you repeat
Okay.
the 90
Excuse me?
cents? The 90 cents was why?
That was it. That includes the 40 and 50. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we looked at the uncertified. The average was $13.95. You got that on your paper. Maximum was $16.79. We are at 13.25. We look at the certified, 16.06 and 25.06. And we would be at 14.25. Now, if we gave them 30 cents an hour, let's say this jumps up after a year, so that actually would be 14.25. A little above the minimum, still way below the maximum. Actually, it's $1.81. If we look at the maximum, where we're at 14.25, the difference here is over $10 an hour. What would happen the second year is that they would get $15.45. Keep it in mind now, these don't have hazardous duty pay, they don't have longevity pay. Some of the hazardous duty pay is $26 per pay period from one of the counties, and the longevity is $25 per year after the third year, which our people don't get. So I would now open it up for questions. And if I have said something wrong, the steward would correct me, or Jason would correct me. I think I'm right.
Jason, do you agree with the numbers that the commissioners put up every once in a while? It's nice to be able to have the department head to to agree with the commissioner. That's good. Representative Schmidt, and then Representative McConkey, and then Umberger.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I got about 3 here, so I'll try to combine them. I want to get back to the maximum pay. You're saying the maximum pay in this county is,
Average for the state.
no, I mean, what's the max pay in this county for a corrections facility? Are we looking at $15 an hour? Are we close to the county average of $25 an hour? I'm looking at the line here, certified corrections officer.
Yep.
The average max is $25.06 for the county, for the counties. And I'm saying, what is it for Carroll County?
What is it, Carroll County?
Yeah. That would be.
For certified corrections, it's $14.25.
That's the
That's the
min.
rate.
That's the minimum.
My
right?
question is, that's the minimum. What's the max that we pay right here in Carroll County?
$16.09.
So we are considerably less than the average for the other New Hampshire counties.
And how many?
That's the max. 1609 is the max for the certified, right? Go ahead, Representative
That's
Schmidt.
based on 13 officers.
Okay.
How many are at the back?
Now,
Wait a minute, let Representative Schmidt continue.
okay.
I just want to know how many were at the back.
Is it a condition of employment for the correction officer to become certified within a certain amount of time?
Yes, it is, within 18 months.
Okay, and lastly, have you calculated the percent increase bottom line on the salary line for corrections officers over the length of the contract?
The first year would be 2.14%, and the second year would be 6.4% increase.
Okay, on the salary line. Thank you very much.
2 point what? On the
2.14.
14 on the first year, okay? Representative McConkey and then Representative Umberger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Commissioner, the counties that pay longevity and pay hazardous service pay, is that a non-payroll deduction? No, that $25, $10, whatever it is that's paid, is there a payroll on top of that those counties are paying, or is that just a straight fee?
I don't know what other counties are doing. Kathy, if we did it here, would it be straight pay or would it be different?
It would be part of their payroll.
So it would have a, if I could, so
Deduction.
it would have another burden to the, against payroll? Okay.
Yeah.
Secondly, I know some towns with police officers, after they've done their training, if they leave on their contract ahead of a certain date, that officer is responsible to pay back for the training that they've incurred. And if we're getting down to the academy and we're finding out counties are touting how wonderful they are and we're losing those people, is that something we might consider?
In the nursing home, yes, we do consider that. They have to stay another 2 years if we send them to school. Not true for the corrections department.
Might be something we look at in the future.
Yep.
Thank you.
Representative Umberger.
Yes. You mentioned the max salary for a corrections officer was $16.02 currently. And how many of our employees are at the max salary out of the 13?
Three that I've got.
Okay, that's close enough. And so their salaries will be above the average, starting with this contract. In other
Right.
words, 1602, so it'll be 1632 and so on.
Right.
Okay. And in relationship, are there other people approaching the max, or is this 3 the only 3 that we have that are close?
Most of them are at $14.80.
Okay. A second question that I have, I assume that we do exit interviews with this, according to the union, great number of people that are leaving. And so my question, this is probably for Jason, where do they go? What do they do for, where do they go? The 5 officers we lost last year, I think, or whatever. Where do they go?
Didn't some of them go to Belknap County? I could be wrong. Go ahead.
I think of who we lost to another facility. Off the top of my head, ma'am, I can't think of anybody that went to another facility. And HR has been doing the exit interviews. I haven't partaken in any exit interviews. I can see if HR has those.
No, we don't have anybody. She would be starting on 4. So does any of the administration people have any thought about where they go? Or it's not required that the employees tell you where they're gonna go?
Not that I'm aware of, Jason. They don't say where they're going when they leave.
Yeah.
So in relationship to the exit interview, have there been any changes made to try to give us a better understanding of the people leaving so that we can correct those things that are causing angst and try to improve it? And you're saying that the only reason that they're leaving is because of salary?
I think that's the main reason. The steward can speak if he's still
Can I
here.
have a question for Jason?
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner?
Yeah, Jason, I believe last year also a couple correctional officers were terminated. Did you include the numbers in his data that they're leaving?
I would believe so, ma'am, yes. I think he's gathering all the people that have left.
I guess that what I'm trying to come to grips with is if the only reason, we had some comments that people decided they didn't like corrections. Out of this group that was identified as people that didn't like corrections, is there a way that in our training time that they have before they go to the academy or whatever, that we can do something different to provide them with a better atmosphere or a different atmosphere that might keep them into corrections? So if they don't like corrections, let's say that 50% don't like corrections, that's one problem.
Mm-hmm.
If 50% leave because of pay, then I don't know what the, what do I want to say? The rate of people,
Turnover
the rate of turnover because they don't like corrections.
Mhm.
And, are we, when we interview people, are we making sure that corrections is the right thing for them to do? Some people.
Not only in corrections do we have that problem, but I think the nursing home could tell you that the LNAs, some of them start, they don't like cleaning beds, and they probably know within the first couple of weeks whether they're going to like it or not. I don't know in regards to corrections, how long they stay before they decide that corrections is not what they want. Do we have any figure on that, Jason, at all?
I don't wish to. Again, we haven't done exit interviews, so it's hard to really put a figure on that.
Okay.
I do believe that what would happen is that in the next delegation, you will have I assume that you will have a corrections subcommittee, and I assume that what you'll be doing is gathering information on that one. Representative Flick, Schmidt, and there was another hand up. Nice, Representative Holman. So, Representative Flick,
it's probably already been said, but I do have a feeling that when we're looking at salaries and benefits, we obviously want to provide a reasonably just wage for people who are working at the county, but we also want to provide a salary package that entices people to remain if they're qualified. And I think we're seeing a gap here. We don't have the understanding about who is leaving and going to better paying correctional facilities. We don't know that. I think that needs to be done. And some people are just not meant to be correction officers. Some people are not meant to be teachers. They leave. That's probably a good thing for whatever entity they're working in. But for those who are going somewhere else, I would like to see something more creative in the packages that are being put together, so that we're enticing people to stay who are qualified, making decisions at critical points, so we can keep them within our own facility. And I don't think we have that information right now. Maybe exit interviews aren't being taken. But we should be getting some information from other correctional facilities, I would assume, if we have a person going there and needs a reference. There ought to be information about references that are being requested from various agencies. So I think we have a lot of data out there that could be utilized to put together a much better package than just simply saying we're going to do 50 cents an hour or 50 and 50. Maybe there are critical points and we really need to make a high-powered effort to keep those qualified people. That's the only thing.
Representative Schmidt and then Algren.
Yeah, maybe you said this already, Commissioner, and I picked it up, but what's the total time frame for someone to reach top pay from the day they first walk in the door to they achieve top pay?
Well, after a year, they get the dollar. They don't get another raise or anything increase unless they get promoted to be a sergeant. Otherwise, they don't get any increase until the following year if there's a raise available,
So
according to a contract.
We're talking 2 years?
Right, it's a
Do they
two-year contract.
Do they max out?
Do they max out?
Well, you just told me the maximum pay at the moment is $16.09.
Yep.
And we hire them in at, I don't know, $13 or
13 and a
something.
quarter, yeah.
So the time frame to get to 1609, forgetting the proposals here, is 2 years?
It's gotta be 2 years, at least.
Okay.
No, Jason has got a different, it would
Saying
seem.
no?
Your raise is based on whatever, because they're in a collective bargaining agreement, so it's a raise however long it takes is for them to get, because we don't have a max.
There's no steps.
There's no step, so as a CO comes in, you're gonna get up to wherever the union negotiates the rate in however many years it takes to get there.
I'm still confused. We have a maximum rate of pay for a corrections officer in Carroll County. And my question would be, again, is still, under the current or even the proposed union contracts, there should be a timeline associated to when someone achieves them.
We don't have steps, sir.
No.
Can you,
What am I missing here?
Is there-
It's not making sense to me.
Pay for 10 years if there's no raises in the contract.
there are three correction officers that are at top pay. Do you know how long they have been here, when they started and what they've got now? That would give us a clue of how long it might take.
May I just
Yes.
say that max doesn't mean you can't go back. That's just the top rate, it's not the maximum rate.
You can get more than
It's the
that.
top rate that this particular group has at this particular time. That doesn't make it, it's not, you can't go above that, it just happens to be the top rate that they're being paid at this time.
Now you've got me more confused.
Yeah, right.
Now we've gone from a top rate to a max rate.
Well,
What's
I
the
think
difference?
it's the word maximum that's throwing you off. That just, it's really the top rate that they're getting paid at this time. It's not that they can't go above. That rate will increase as increases in the contract take place.
Right.
But it's not that they can't go above that. It's the wrong word to use when you use maximum, that's all.
Steve, the 1602 is the top today. If we pass this contract, the top pay will now go to $16.32.
Okay.
Okay, and then the following year, the max pay will go to $16.82.
So then, correct me again if I'm wrong, then a corrections officer, it seems to me with the 50-cent raise and the fit, probably, within 2 or 3 years, should achieve the max rate. Am I not?
Forget about the maximum. There's no max.
It's not a top.
This is the average that the state came up with.
Yeah.
Within the range is the max. But there's no max. It just depends on how much is approved by this board, this delegation, and the union contract.
All right, let me try one more time. Given those parameters, how long would it take a corrections officer to achieve the top rate as approved by this board?
Do we know
I mean,
how many?
I don't think it's a hard question.
But
I don't know.
do we
There's no
know-
maximum.
No, do we know how long, at least one of those 3 employees that are at the 1602, how long they have been working for county?
Has to do with labor.
Do we know that? Do we know their
That's not
hire
the
date,
question.
and do we, I think that will get you the answer that you want, but I don't think, as usual in the towns or wherever, you have steps, and the way to get past another step is to get promoted to that step. That's not what happens here in the county.
The highest correctional officer that I've got as of June of this year was hired in 2005.
Okay.
Okay, just one more question, and
Yeah.
then I'll turn it
We've
over
got
to you.
7 years there.
And maybe to Jason. Jason, with the high turnover rate, I believe the commissioner stated we flipped 5 officers last year,
In
This year.
2011, we lost 11.
11. You tell me the total number of overtime hours we incurred then to cover that loss? Because this is the cost factor I think we'd like to know. And give us some idea of the overtime in this county for correctional officers.
I have to go back and see what we spent at the end of the year for overtime.
If we look, we have our 2011, which would have been the 5, we would be able to go and see what the overtime rate is
For the first 6 months.
for the first 6 months of that.
We have other people that are on leave, medical leave. And how many of those do we have in the jail
Right now, on medical leave,
this year?
we have 0 on medical leave.
0?
Yeah, we had a lot last year.
Okay.
With FMLA, we had a lot last year.
Overtime.
So the overtime for 2012, for the first 6 months, is, the percentage-wise, is that it's 56% of what we budgeted. I don't know if that helps you or not, but
What did
that's
we
definitely
budget
12.
there, if you have issues? I'm just curious,
It's on-
Madam Chair.
If you look at page 8, you'll be able to see that what we budgeted was $14,024 for overtime for the jail and house of corrections, and as of the 30th of June, we have expended $10,951.
Thank you.
Yes, let me look at Representative Algren, and then we'll go with Merrow, and go ahead, Representative Algren.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank the fine representatives before me who have asked questions to try to get an understanding of what's happening. So I guess the first thing I'm going to try to do here is try to get an understanding of the timeline and the salary structure that is currently instituted here at the House of Corrections. So I'm going to try to direct my questions toward Jason, kind of in a rapid fire, but not to put you off guard. So I come to you, I get interviewed, and I get hired, and I'm fresh off the street. I'm just a guy who knows how to sort of run a small business. And so how much do I get paid?
13 and a quarter.
Okay, so I start at 13 and a quarter. Then after 6 months, after my probationary period, and you and I sit down and you evaluate whether you think that I have a future as a corrections officer, and you decide that's going to happen, and then how much money do I make after 6 months?
$13.75.
Okay. So then, within the next year, no, then at 6 months after that, I've either completed my academy training, or I've gone through kind of a secondary probationary period because we couldn't get me to the academy. So then I would get another raise at that time, whichever was sooner, right? And how much would I get at either a year or when I finished academy?
50 cents, so it'd be 14 and a quarter.
This is under the new contract,
No.
not under the
Nope.
old contract.
No,
This is
existing.
right now.
Oh, it's
We're just
Okay.
going to
Just
talk
now.
about what's happening now, just so we can, because I'm trying to
Yep.
get to where I think Representative Schmidt was getting to. Okay, so now I make 14 and a quarter an hour. And I'm a certified corrections officer. We'll say that happened. When do I get my next raise, Jason? Because I'm working hard.
April 1st, and you get whatever the union body has negotiated.
Whatever the
Okay.
contract basis.
And so on April 1st, I've been there for 2 years. How much money do I earn?
Whatever.
Whatever is in the
contract says.
contract. So say it's a 30-cent raise, you get 30 cents, so you'll make $14.55.
You can add 30 cents to that figure. Union contract for the first year, if it, not presently,
So the union contract says everyone gets a 30-cent an hour raise.
on this contract.
On the current contract, we're just talking about, we're just kind of pretending that the current contract kind of goes in perpetuity.
Yep.
Okay, so I'd get 30 cents an hour because you negotiated that no matter what rate you make, you get a
That's right.
30-cent an hour raise.
That's right.
When?
First of April.
At the date of the contract.
14th, 1st of April.
So,
April.
so what happens is that they don't, so what happens is everyone gets the same increase every year, or per the contract.
Right.
So no one does achieve that max salary because we don't have a max salary.
That's right.
We just have, everyone gets whatever they make. They get 30 cents an hour a year, but maybe the next year they get 40. So they got 40 cents more that year. So the guy's making $16.09, they're going to get 30 cents, so they get $16.39. And then if we renegotiate this contract, those guys the next year are going to get $16.79. Was that it? 40 cents? I can't remember. I'm sorry, it was at 50. Whatever it was, whatever we negotiated, that's what they're going to get.
Right.
So I think what Representative Schmidt was trying to get to is what timeline do they max? But essentially what happens
Well,
is
under that timeline, you're maxing out in a
at
little
18 months.
Exactly.
And then you get 30 cents an hour.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think, I'm sorry for all that, but I think that's what you were trying to get at, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I apologize for that. So now I'm going to kind of get to my questions. Is that, we were having turnover of officers, and so we need to identify where that turnover is from. And there's obviously things that are factors, how much they get paid, what other opportunities there are for the same job in other counties, and what other opportunities they are to do different things in this county. And one of those things is become not a correctional officer, but to become a police officer. And so I think, the exit interviews is something that certainly the commissioners and the department heads should maybe try to get a better handle on for our next meeting. But,
For your next session.
for the next
For the next
For
2
the next
days.
session, okay. I mean,
This is it, folks.
right. So, I don't see, and I'm gonna go back to my old chant, is that we keep saying that the delegation approves the labor contract. We don't approve the labor contract.
You appropriate the money for the
We
labor
appropriate the money for the contract, okay? So, the commissioners approve the contract in conjunction with the labor union. All we do is appropriate the money so you can pay them.
It's
Okay?
subject, the contract is subject to the delegation approving the funds.
Well, that's where we're
That's where it's
going
written
to
in the
agree to
contract.
disagree.
That's
That
where
we
it's
don't
written
agree, we do not agree to the contract. That is, We've all gone to Concord, right?
Representative Algren, let's
Right.
not fight this fight.
Right,
We've had
so
this
we'll
before.
agree
Just
to
continue
disagree on that.
with
I'll just make that
where we are in
statement.
the contract.
You
Right.
can believe it to be true as fact or not, but we're all state legislatures. I don't recall voting on any contracts for the state employees. Do any of you? Did we stand up in the House and go, yay, nay, we approved the police contract?
No.
Just the
Okay.
money.
No, we didn't. Okay, so we're not approving whatever this contract is. That is not what, we have no authority to do it. It's in statute. We have no authority to do it. Read it. Now, so for us, what comes down to the bottom line is basically what is the net impact. If you're saying this net impact has $11,000 impact for the current budget cycle and you've got the money to pay for it,
That's right.
then
Because we've had some vacancies.
Then guess what?
We've had some vacancies, and we've had money in that particular line item that can make up for that 11,000.
okay, then guess what? You don't even need to ask us. Because in accordance with the budget and the statutes, you've got the money, we've already appropriated the money, you've changed your contract, it's cost $11,000 more, you got the money, go do it. Okay? So for this year, you don't even need to ask us.
Representative Algren.
Well, I'm just stating fact.
I just have to say, along with some fact, there's also tradition here in Carroll County and for the delegation. And if you don't like the tradition, then you're going to change it. Traditionally, we like to have the commissioners come to us with the contract. If it's in the budget, then we can decide whether we want to approve those and say okay with the money, because as Representative McCarthy says, every time we try to do something and we haven't got the approval from the delegation, then the offside is that commissioners are spending money that they're not authorized to do. So traditionally, we have looked at the contract, we have heard the financial aspects of the contract, and we decide whether we want the commissioners to go forward with that. That's, I think, what we have done in the past, and I think that is tradition. You can change the tradition come December. That will be fine. Representative McConkey, Merrow, and then McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
And then,
To the commissioner again, is this now part one of two? Has their health insurance, do they have health insurance? Are we paying health insurance for the
Yes.
correction
Yes.
officers? Has that been negotiated at this time, what their insurance package is going to be?
It has been standard. We pay 80%, they pay 20%. Some counties pay 100%.
Of the 80%, the standard that we pay, is that rate increasing over what we paid last year?
Yes.
And do you have an idea of percentage of what that is?
Kathy?
I believe it was 14%.
14%?
Yeah. I know that's good.
And on that insurance package that we're paying, it's an increase of 14%. Is that insurance package on par with the other counties? Not the cost, but the package that we're providing.
In other counties, they pay 100%.
How many?
How many? I don't know how many. I know they do.
some do, some don't.
Do you have any idea?
It's irrelevant.
Okay.
So, excuse me, we don't know if it's a majority, we don't know how many, but some of these other counties, even though, did you say they're paying the entire, or we're paying a lesser amount? Is that
We're
what you're
paying
saying?
80%, some counties are paying 100%.
But we don't know what percentage of those counties are paying 100%?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, Representative Merrow,
Yes.
McCarthy, and then no.
Thank you. I have two questions. One just came up. On the insurance contract, didn't we already approve that as a whole, rather than take it out separately? Didn't we we already approved that as part of your budget?
I believe we approved the company that would be, because Primex is no longer carrying our insurance, we went to another one, and we did approve that.
Okay, my second question is, I'm still hung up on this contract. I don't have a problem with the contract, you both agreed to it, but the one thing that still I'm hung up on, and straighten me out, is you've got three people now that are making top, or whatever you want to call it, top dollar, right?
Yeah.
Now, every contract that you come across, you give everybody a 30% raise, which also goes to the top people.
Yep.
How do the people below ever get up to that top rate?
They don't.
It's not a percentage. it's 30 cents.
I understand that, but if I give you 30 cents and I give me 30 cents, how do you ever catch up?
Everybody goes up.
Huh?
Nobody catches up.
So you're never gonna have more than 3 people in the top rate?
True.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily. Those 3 people quit. And then,
Well,
you know
right,
what I'm saying? And then you have another
Why
class. It just
would
works that way.
So there's no way that somebody down on the lower rate can ever gain to get up to the top rate?
Yeah, they can.
Teach.
Over time.
Over
And
time.
attrition.
No, because you're giving the other guy the same amount of money each time.
May I-
So he'll never get there.
Yeah.
May I say something?
Yes, Commissioner
I
Solomon.
think the only way, and you're absolutely right, the only way that that could happen is if the person earning the most money were promoted to sergeant or something, and then that number would go down, that person would be out, and
So-
the number would change.
So that pay is based on rank or position? Is that, am I correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
But the sergeants aren't in the union.
In the case when we negotiated with the nursing home union contract back 6 or 8 years ago, there was so many people that were out of line that the union agreed with us to go through it all and put people where they should be. And so in that particular case, they may have gone up to the next level. That was with the union. The union normally goes with across the board. In that particular case, we did talk with the union because some people were way out of whack, doing the same job but getting less money.
Okay, Representative McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With all due respect to Representative Algren, the governor of the state is the legislative body when it comes to contract negotiations. The governor is the legislative body for the state. We, the delegation members at the county, are the legislative body of the county. And by law, we are required to approve all government employee contracts. Before we do that, we must be apprised by the commissioners or whoever negotiates the contract of all additional costs that are contained in that new contract. That's beside the point. The point is, we are the legislative body of the county, and it is up to us to approve the contract. By law, the RSA stated. The other point that I would like to make is, I have experience in prison work. I was a deputy warden at the federal prison in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, United States Naval Disciplinary Command. I don't know if you've ever had I'm sure you probably haven't, the opportunity to walk on a corridor and have somebody throw a can of human urine in your face, or throw a sock full of human feces at you. But that's what corrections officers go through sometimes. Now, I know mine was a maximum security prison. This is a little bit different. But the amount, look at the money that our corrections officers are making, and then look at what some of the other members of the county are making, like $108,000, $107,000 a year. It says in here something about $20-something for an RN. How about $60 or $70 for some of our RN? An hour. And then double that for the overtime. Last 2 years ago, $400,000 in overtime for the nursing home, counting the nurses and other entities. Now, why can't we take a little bit of that $400,000, or we dropped it down in the last year, I understand that. Why can't we drop that down a little more, not cost the taxpayers a penny, and give the corrections officers what they deserve?
Thank you. Representative Knox.
Just a simple question. Jason, do you think most people leave your facility because of low pay?
It's been shared with that way, yes. We don't do the exit interviews, but some of the reasons that they tell us that they're leaving is because of wages.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Representative Babson?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, I think there's a lot of missing information here. Number one, we ought to have some kind of a record of the exit interviews of people leaving for wages, or are they leaving for other reasons? The number that the gentleman, the correction officer, gave us, are these all people that left, or just people that left for salary? I mean, we need to know more information here
Yeah, and
before we vote on anything. I think, obviously, I think as we look at it, the wage levels are too low at this point, but we need more information before we should move forward here, I think.
Okay, so what we do have is that I do know that one of the jobs that you'll be doing is looking to figure out what is the pay structure over at the jail, and should we revamp it? Should we figure out what's going on and talk with the commissioners on that? I do believe that if you want to have more information and get all of this stuff, we have, let's see, 3.5 months that we would do with this as this delegation. The next delegation will choose what it will want to do. So I don't know whether you want to have another meeting for all of this, or do you want to look at the $11,255 for 2012 and the other part of the contract, which is the $33,759 for 2013. You'll have a crack at it when you do it next time around. Representative Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think today we were asked to approve this contract, and I would like to move that we do exactly that. All of the things associated with the jail, some of the issues that just came forward, I think certainly that discussion needs to be held between the jail personnel and the commissioners. At this point in time, I would just like to move forward. I would even make a motion that we approve this contract as presented.
Second.
And let's go about our business.
Okay, there is a motion by Representative Schmidt, with second by Representative Knox, to be able to approve the contract. Let me just be sure, for the 2012, it would cost us an extra $11,255, which you have in...
I'm recommending that it come out of the existing budget.
And that would come out of the existing budget. And then for 2013, we would have the $33,759, which you would end up putting in your budget, which this delegation would have another crack at approving or not approving.
No, I think this delegation right now has a motion and second that we honor the 2-year contract.
Okay.
So that automatically goes into next year's budget,
Okay.
if you approve it.
So that's what, Representative Schmidt, that's what you want to do for that?
Absolutely.
All right, for that, and the $33,759. Representative Umberg, you have a question? Representative McCarthy.
Okay, yes. My question is, you've identified salary as the only cost item in that contract. Is there anything else that is in there? Because I don't want to come back and say, oh, well, we raised clothing allowance by 10 cents, or we did something else. So you're telling me that the only cost item that is changing in that contract is salary. And be sure, because I'll remind you of it.
Tonight.
I'm not sure how much I can say about the contract. It was a non-public session, and I've told you a lot that came out of non-public session.
You can tell us the cost.
But there was a request for increase in clothing allowance.
And did it pass?
No.
Was there anything else?
The shift differential stayed the same.
Okay, so...
And everybody at the House of Corrections participates in the shift differentials. The way it's set up, they all rotate on their shifts, so they all get the same.
And for the if I might follow up, for the non-union people, they do not get any of this. Is that correct?
They get 30 cents this year. Next year goes into their budget.
Okay. So the $11,000 includes more than just the union contract?
The No, well, depends on how you want to look at it. In this year's budget, the 30 cents were already in there for the non-union. So that is strictly union.
The 11,
11,000 strictly union.
okay. And the other 30, so for next year, are we also going to have a cost for the non-union equal to some figure in this 33,000?
Normally,
I'm not normally, I want to
33.
know yes or no.
well, that's strictly union, the 33,000. If
Understand.
anything is increased in the non-union, that shows up in next year's budget.
Are you,
Normally, what happens, is that the non-union get the same as the union.
so in addition to the 33,000 for the union contract, there will also be 50 cents an hour for the non-union people?
That
50
hasn't
or
been-
90, that hasn't been.
The commissioners have not acted on that yet. Our budget is not, we haven't started working on the budget. Most likely, you're correct.
Okay. So you're telling me the only cost in this contract is the salary increase for the union people?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
11,255 and 33,759, Representative McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thought somebody said that there was an increase in our costs for insurance, 14% or something like that.
But that's for everybody, not just union.
Yeah, that's,
That doesn't matter. I'd like to point out that the law specifically states that the delegation, in order to approve a contract, they must be made aware of all cost increases to the county contained in that contract. I don't care if it's for union, non-union, or I don't care who it's for. We must be made aware of exactly every penny of cost increases contained in the contract. And I don't think that's been done.
if I might,
Representative McCarthy.
just, we approved the cost increase, I think, for medical insurance in last fall, or last spring.
The
That's-
14%.
We've already approved that for every employee in the county, whether it was affected by this contract or not. So that's already, we've already done that for 2012. What the cost increase for 2013 will be, we don't know yet.
If I could further say that in the contract, it talks about 80%. If that 80% changed and we were picking up 85%, then it's in the contract and you would have a vote. Okay? That hasn't changed. It's 80-20.
So what you're saying is there is no increase in the cost of insurance contained in this contract?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, of the 14%.
No, they're
that was
not.
changed.
We have paid that already.
Okay, all right.
We've already agreed to pay that.
Does everybody know where we are?
Yeah.
Motion by Representative Schmidt, second by Representative Knox. Representative Algren.
Sorry. I guess my question is that, where is the copy of the contract for us to read? Why don't we have a copy of the contract? Why?
We gave you contracts back when
You did give it to us.
Representative Merrill asked for
I don't
them.
think we ever got the jail contract.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I think we did.
We got copies of it.
I don't have it with me, but I think we did.
We had
I
a,
remember
we had a
asking.
copy of what was last year, and then we had
We
a
did.
copy of what was coming up, right?
Right.
I didn't see it.
Well,
If the question is, would you like another copy of the contract that we are done, that we are looking at, if you would like? Go ahead.
yes, I just think it's unusual that we're just not provided with a copy of the contract today to look at, since that's what we're talking about. That's all I'm saying.
But you say you don't approve the contract.
Well, I
How
know,
can you-
we're both talking to each other now. I agree. But I would think that if I were being asked to approve a contract, that I'd be able, afforded a good chance to read it over. But I agree with Representative Schmidt that for our rubber stamping of what's going on here, I don't see a big problem with it, because the money dollar effect of what you say is going on is is pretty minimal on a $3.3 million budget.
Madam Chair, can I
You
call a
know,
question?
so I think we,
Yes,
so I
but
think.
I've got two people that have
Okay,
left
but after
it
that-
So-
when they come back.
I would just hope in the future that we have these, that we are afforded, you know, a good opportunity to review the contract before we sit down, or at least have them here so we could kind of look it over. That's all. And I will support the rubber stamping of the contract.
Are we gonna do this?
I don't know whether, we have Representative Schmidt and Representative Knox. Would everybody else like to have a quick pit stop, and we'll come back and vote? Okay?
So are we gonna do this by roll call?
I don't know what the delegation's going to want. We cannot, we don't. Depends on it.
30 cents this year.
Just be right.
Some work? We have a motion on the floor. Thank you for coming back. We have a motion on the floor by Representative Schmidt to, regarding the contract for $11,255 for 2012 and $33,759 for 2013, second by Representative Knox. Do you want a hand vote, or would you like a roll call? What? What do you want? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
No. Representative McCarthy is in the negative, so we have,
No, I'm not also, I'm sorry.
we have 11, so it is 9-2 with Representative McCarthy and Pettingill in the negative.
And that's to approve the contract, is that correct?
Yes.
Without reading it?
We had it prior to, so we have got that. So the next thing that we need to look at, that I have on the agenda, is the memorandum of understanding. I emailed you what I received from Ann Hamilton, right? That's right, that's right. And what happens for members that don't understand this? Excuse me? The memorandum of understanding between the UNH and Carroll County Convention and the Commissioners. This, last time we voted on this was in 2006, and we voted to do that. This is the contract that we have, memorandum of understanding that we have, and it also says in here that tells what will happen. But then if you want to, Ian, why don't you get up and let me, would you also show me where the ability to back out of the memorandum is if the next delegation decides to do that?
Right. It's on page 3, Article 4. It says, "This memorandum of understanding may be revised by mutual agreement set forth in writing and signed by both parties or canceled by either party to the agreement with at least 6 months written notice to the other party."
Okay. And that's on page 3, item Roman numeral 2?
4.
4, I'm sorry.
Bottom.
Yes, on the bottom. So that what happens is that this is how the business of the university goes. And Ann, does anybody like a little explanation of the memorandum of understanding?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ann, thank you.
Okay, basically, the understanding is that the county convention and commissioners will continue to give consideration. It doesn't say that you will give money, but you will give consideration to the support of UNH Cooperative Extension. The money is overseen by the Carroll County Extension Advisory Council and the County Office Administrator, which is my role with UNH Cooperative Extension. And also that the delegation and the commissioners will provide a representative to serve on our advisory council, and currently that is Representative David Knox and Commissioner Dorothy Solomon. So every year, somebody gets appointed from the delegation to serve. And that role is to help us and also give input from the delegation back to the Extension Advisory Council and the UNH Cooperative Extension staff on programming. We also ensure that there will be communication between both parties. And UNH Cooperative Extension agrees in the agreement to provide programs to the county based on needs within the county, and some of those will be provided, on a regional basis, and some of those will be provided right here in the county. So we do have staff coming in from other counties. For example, I have just finished doing a parenting program at the County House of Corrections, and somebody else from UNH Cooperative Extension in another county will be continuing that in the future, and I will be providing food safety education in another county.
Okay, good. Representative McCarthy, you have a question? Did you have a question? You raised your hand.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The question is, do you have a handle on amendments or changes in this memorandum from the previous memorandum?
The only one, the difference is, and I believe, do you have a copy of the other one?
Yep.
Would be, the first page I don't believe has changed. The second page is based on the report. Extension went through re-extension this past year when we lost $1.7 million from the state level, and we reorganized. We've lost approximately 32 staff members. Most of those were of early retirements or separation incentive. 3 people were laid off last February. With that, it just says that Extension will provide programming somewhat on a regional basis, that we've all become regional specialists instead of county specialists at this point, and that we will make sure that education will be provided in all program areas in the county.
Is there, may I?
Yes.
Is there any amendment or change to what the county is required to do?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Representative Umberger.
Yeah, do we need a motion to accept, I move that we accept the memorandum of understanding.
Second.
There's a motion by Representative Umberger, seconded by I heard Harry, to approve the memorandum of understanding between the University of New Hampshire and Carroll County Convention. And in the process of doing this, I will sign it as chair of the delegation if we approve this. So, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, that's a unanimous. So, Extension, you have your memorandum of understanding, and if you have the original, then you can take it with you. I think the commissioners have already acted on this.
No, we
You'll
will
do it
Wednesday.
Okay.
It's just that your meetings happen before them.
Yes, and that's
Thank
fine.
you.
So if you'd like to.
Thank you to everybody.
Yes, we can do that. Now, there is, yes.
Do we want to go into convention and approve both of those, because nothing else we're going to have a motion on?
Oh, okay. I'll have a, let's go, Representative Umberger just said we should probably go into convention. I'll have Representative Umberger moves to go into convention. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Fleck. All those in favor of into convention, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we're in convention. There is a motion by Representative Umberger to
approve the memorandum of understanding with UNH, Carroll County Cooperative Extension.
mhm.
And the contract?
And would you want to
We can use
do
it.
that? You want to do the contract, or you want to do it
No, I
separately?
think we need it separate
Okay.
because one was unanimous and one wasn't.
Is there a second to
Second.
the Representative Knox? All those in favor of approving the memorandum of understanding with university and the convention, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, we have that. Now there's another motion. Is there a motion to,
I'll move that we approve the jail House of Corrections contract.
okay,
Second.
and second by, motion by Umberger, second by Knox, to approve contract. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Pettingill and McCarthy in opposition. Okay, yes, Representative McCarthy?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just like to make it clear that I am not against the at least the pay raises that we discussed for the corrections officers. It just goes against my grain to approve a contract that I haven't seen.
Any further discussion, any statements? Okay, there's a motion by Representative Umberger, second by Representative Fleck to come out of convention. All those in favor of coming out, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those approve? No. Those
Opposed?
opposed? So we are. All right, we're out of convention. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Karen, Karen, for signing.
That way you could sign that for you.
Yes, I did sign it for real. There is another issue that is not on, there are a few issues that are not on the agenda. One of them is that there have been 3 towns, Conway, Wolfboro, and Moultonboro, that have come and talked with the commissioners about the status of the dispatch. And I would just like the commissioner to put the issue on the table. This will be for another delegation to vote on and determine, but at least the members would have a chance to be able to listen to the proposal.
Madam Chairman, yes,
Yes.
we have had 3 meetings with Conway, Wolfboro, and Moultonboro. The total cost to those 3 towns and those representatives that represent those towns ought to check out the figures. The figures that we have is close to $1 million that they're paying for their dispatch. Total, about $350 apiece, so roughly $1 million. Now, if we take over the dispatch, then every town is going to be increased because we're going to have to increase our dispatch center, personnel as well as equipment. If we go the other way and give them an abatement on their taxes because they have their own dispatch, then all the other towns are going to have an increase. The commissioners, the Board of Commissioners have not taken a stand one way or the other on that. It's going to be a delegation decision because there's dollars involved. Now, to be fair about it, they probably need to have an abatement. On the other hand, back a number of years ago, maybe 8 or 10 years ago, we offered to the town of Moultonboro to take on their dispatch. It would have been a less cost to them by about $90,000 at that time. They decided that they didn't want to go in with our dispatch. They wanted to stay with their own. So that decision was made. As far as Wolfboro and Conway, there was no contact made with those 2 towns that do their own dispatching. We've looked at what it costs them. We've looked at what it would cost our dispatch center. And we'll provide you with the figures the best we can. But it's still up to the delegation as to where we go, what direction that we go in for those 3 towns. Nobody's going to win because the taxes are going to go up. And they did mention that I think they agreed that this would be done over a number of years, probably 3 years, so that we wouldn't get hit with a spike in our budget all in 1 year. It's a touchy situation. It's going to be up to you to decide as to which direction we go.
Okay, Representative Fleck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I know this is going to be discussed at great length, but one of the concerns I've always had about this is what is the impact or potential impact on mutual aid? Have you discussed that? Do you see any issues that would arise because of the this kind of a change?
I think that was one of the reasons why Moultonboro decided not to go, because they're in mutual aid with Lakes Region and others, and that's probably why they didn't want to go. On the other hand, our dispatch center is still responsible for the town of Moultonboro and Wolfboro and Conway in emergency dispatching. So that has to be figured out as to what we're paying for those 3 towns out of our county budget presently, and what they're doing. Now, some people have said maybe those 3 towns could be a satellite maybe we pick up some of their costs. All three towns want to have a window open so that anybody that comes in can get some information. So that's almost a given. They want to have that. And I think they'd rather have an abatement rather than turn it over to the county to do.
Thank you.
Yes, Representative Umberger.
Yes, was this a result of the letter that came out of the Moulton Borough Selectmen to Conway and Wolfboro?
Yes.
Okay, and who came down and provided the presentation?
Excuse me?
I think I know from.
Who came?
Selectmen?
And
Dave Weathers, for example, and the town manager from Conway.
Okay.
Town manager from Moulton Borough, and one or two
Town
selectmen.
administrator.
And two selectmen from Wolfboro.
Yeah.
So you need to talk with the selectmen's
Okay,
office.
I just, I didn't know who, when you said they came down, I just didn't know who.
Yeah. Representative Babson.
He said, what was
Babson.
I attended one of those meetings and there was no one here from Conway.
That was the second meeting.
That's at a different meeting.
The first meeting there was.
When was the third one?
The first one.
No, you said there were three. I've been to one of the two.
Yeah, I'm
When
sorry.
was the third
I'm
one?
sorry, there were two. There were two.
It's been 2 meetings. Okay, Representative McConkey.
Thank you. Commissioners, did I understand you correctly that you will not take a position on what to do here?
We haven't taken a position.
But you would prior to coming to the delegation asking for funding or abatement?
Yes.
Great.
Because
Thank
we're
you.
responsible for the budget, yes.
Sounds good, thank you.
And again, this is an issue that I know the next delegation will discuss through the budget process, and I just want you to know that it's on the table. Okay?
I also believe, Madam Chairman, that the next delegation will be responsible for what happens to the old nursing home.
Yep. Because we can't come up with votes to do it one way or the other. The other thing that I have, and I don't know if all of you were copied on this, is I got a copy from Coos County saying that apparently there was some discussion in a subcommittee meeting that that perhaps Carroll County Department of Corrections would become a receiving and a holding facility for Coos County's pretrial and sentenced inmates. This is a official, we're not into the process of doing that from Coos County. Let's see. Both bodies unanimously voted to inform the Carroll County delegation that Coos County is not considering an arrangement with any New Hampshire county relative to the incarceration of male inmates. So, Jason, I don't know when that came up, but that's the answer from Coos. So that was good. The other, we do have a discussion that Representative Babson did give us a piece of paper with a motion on it. See if I can find it. And it is, right, Representative Babson, this is from you.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and apparently there is a story behind here, and if we can get to this quickly so that we can do our quarterly review, but also have time to talk with the commander of the VFW force. Representative Babson.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that the Carroll County delegation request the Carroll County Commissioners open to the public the final reports of the Reed versus Kenny and the Woodburn investigation, which have cost the taxpayers nearly $50,000.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
With a second by Representative Merrill. Would you like to speak to your motion, Representative Babson?
Only that this is two out of, it looks like there'll be another one coming along that will cost us many more thousands of dollars. And no?
No.
Okay. Well, then there's these two that have cost us this kind of money, taxpayers' money, and I think taxpayers ought to know who's right and who's wrong in these discussions, either to issue an apology or to know somebody's not doing their job.
Okay, Representative Merrill and then number.
Yeah, I seconded this because I think that when you spend this amount of money, I think the delegation and the public need to have some indication of what going on. I don't think you necessarily need or should have maybe some of the real intricate details that are kept non-public. But it would at least, I think we at least should be in a position to know basically what happened and what the outcome was or was recommended. With that kind of money, I just think we'd be remiss if we didn't.
Representative Umberger.
Yes, I would recommend that you go and look at the Bar Council versus the North Conway Water Precinct decision that was rendered by the Supreme Court on the New Hampshire Supreme Court on this type of thing, because it was the plaintiff, that's the right term, yeah, sued whatever, the North Conway Water Precinct in order to get some information about a case. And the Supreme Court said no. And so I'd ask that the commissioners look at that case, because not that I know what's going on with these other things, but it was pretty clear out of that Supreme Court case that nothing needs to be released. And so I just suggest that that be something that occurs, and I can't support this based on my knowledge of that particular case.
Question?
Okay, yes, Representative Merrill.
Question of Representative Umberger. I guess I would agree with you, and I would agree with the court on depending on what they asked for. You know, if I went in and I asked for complete details of this type of thing, I don't think I should get it. I don't think that's in our purview. But it does seem to me that on anything like this, if people say, "Well, what happened?" you should be able to give. And I don't know what kind of questions were asked to the court or what kind of information was asked for. And I agree with you, that probably should be looked at, even if we vote this in before we do anything. But it seems to me that some kind of an explanation somewhere needs to be made when you spend that kind of money.
Do you have a copy of that?
I do know that usually the Supreme Court is very fact-specific on what they do. Representative Umberger, you have an answer to that.
The final, well, if there was any monetary settlement, that information is public, okay? So if in fact there was a monetary settlement, I don't know, that information
We don't even know that.
is public,
Yeah.
okay? And the amounts that were paid and that kind of stuff. So I don't know whether there was any of that, and perhaps the commissioners can answer that question. But other than monetary,
Okay.
so.
Representative McConkey.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I haven't had a chance to review last week's meeting. I believe the link just came this morning. But it's been my understanding repeatedly that Commissioner Sorensen has said that they have been advised by legal counsel not to release details at this point in time. And if that is indeed the case, then I will not be participating in a directive to tell them to do otherwise.
Madam Chair, I don't want details. I just want a general overview, like Representative Umberger said, on the monetary payout or anything like that, anything that I can have. I don't want to know the details.
Yes.
I don't think it should be made public.
Representative McCarthy and then Commissioner
Thank you,
Kennedy.
Madam Chair. I agree. In the least, I think we should get an opinion from the county attorney as to what he believes should be released and not released, what precedent is there, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that anything should be released until we get at least something from the county attorney.
Yes, Commissioner Kenny.
Yes, I just want to say both reports are handled in attorney-client privilege, and attorney-client privilege is not subjected under the 91A.
Any further input?
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I believe the county attorney has already recommended that you don't release it, isn't that correct, Mr. Chairman?
No, I don't think he talked to somebody else.
What's he recommended?
That's not the county
You mean
attorney.
by county attorney Tom DeHirsch, that is what you mean, eh? I don't think that we are.
He's
Oh,
the
I thought he had
county attorney.
suggested that you don't.
I don't
release
know.
it.
I
That
don't
was
know
the
if,
attorney we
did you
hired.
talk to him?
No.
It was the
I
attorney
don't
we
believe so.
hired.
No.
Oh, it was the
That
lawyer
is-
that you
that
hired?
is,
Yeah.
That is the attorney of the commissioners, the legal counsel.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
What has been said is true. What Representative McConkey has just told you. Our legal counsel has recommended that we not release it. You can see where there are several people that were interviewed in each case. They don't want their names out in public, so that's number one. Number two, there could be some other legal events that take place, going to court and so forth. On the other hand, it's frustrating for commissioners to have two places, two different cases where it was open to the public. The third case, it was on the film, whereby a person from the House of Correction wanted to make it public. We did it at the following meeting, following week, we had a meeting, and he said, no, I don't want it open to public. So what's frustrating is everybody heard his side, nobody heard our side, or the administration side. And the same is true for the other two cases. Can we release the summary? I don't know. I have talked with our insurance company. They said rely on your counsel. They would pay the bill, but our rates would probably go up. So that's where we stand. I mean, it's frustrating for us. We can't release stuff that other people have made it open to the public.
Could I modify that?
Yes, Representative Merrill.
Could I make an amendment to that motion and just say we'd like to be notified of any monetary settlement that comes out of this and how much it is?
That we have a right to know,
Yeah,
but statute-wise, we need
Yeah,
it.
that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
The first case was 17,000 roughly. I think it was just a little bit less than 17.
Was that
And-
was that the bill, or was that a settlement?
Settlements.
No,
Stop
no
at
settlement.
settlements.
No
No.
settlement.
Those were
Yeah.
those were attorney fees,
Okay.
In both cases?
no settlements.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, there is a motion on the floor by Representative Babson, second by Representative Merrill. There is a caution in the wind that the Commissioners' Council has, advised them not to. Whether or not that has been to the summary of the issue instead of the details, I don't know if you want to go back and ask if the summary is allowed or, what, that is
We did, and she still says should not be released.
should not be released. So, there's a motion on the floor, is there, and the second, so, I guess probably what we can do is, all those in favor that, they are, to the motion by Representative Babson.
Could I ask for a voice vote, Madam Chairman?
A voice vote, yes. Okay, so you want?
No, I mean a
Roll
recorded
call?
vote, a roll call.
Oh, a roll call, okay. Okay, we'll be able to do that. That would be,
I've got a sheet here.
okay, go ahead for it. When you are ready, clerk, would you please call the roll?
Representative Aldrin,
No.
Representative Babson,
Yes.
Representative Chandler, absent. Representative Fleck,
No.
Representative Knox.
Yes.
Representative McCarthy,
No.
Representative McConkey,
No.
Representative Merrill,
Yes.
Representative Pettingill,
No.
Representative Scalia, absent. Representative Schmidt,
No.
Representative Umberger, no. Representative Patton,
Yes.
4 in favor, 7 opposed.
Okay.
Motion fails.
All right, motion fails on that one. Okay. Now, we can go through a quick quarterly, second quarter review. You've got these in your packets. One of the things that I'm going to hand out to you, I got from the Registry of Deeds, is her deposit, her money in and her money out. So you can just look at those. And then we have the expenditures and the revenues. So what I would like to do is to go through the expenses to begin with. Let's look at page 1, and if it is all right with the delegation, what I'll do is go down to the bottom line for the percentage of what each department has done, unless you have something specific. Okay, the commissioner's budget is at 45%. Okay. Any questions on the commissioners at 45%?
What is that at? Oh, I got it.
On page 1.
Okay, now we're going to go to the treasurer, and the percentage of the treasurer is at 40%. Any questions? Okay, special fees, they are at 95%. Anybody have a question on that?
Yeah, how come?
They're gonna have to transfer some money.
Okay, commissioners, it does seem that legal fees is close to being 300% over. Any explanation? Does anybody want to know about that?
One of the legal fees, Madam Chairman, is the first grievance attorney fees of $17,000.
May I ask a question
Now,
on that?
the other thing is that the auditing has not been done yet, so that item, that particular line item is going to go over.
Okay. Representative Nero, you have a question?
I do. Does the insurance companies pick up any percentage of
No.
the legal fees as far as?
Unless it goes to them, they don't do it.
Okay.
We did.
And so part of that, the motion that got done is, part of the 50,000, is any of that in this amount of money of the 17,000 is in there?
I'm sorry, I'm not
The
following.
17,000 that we had for the one investigation
Yep,
is what we paid?
correct.
Okay.
That's under legal fees.
Do we have any idea what the Woodburn investigation is, or?
I have
is
not
that
received a bill, but that
Okay.
will come out of the nursing home legal fees.
Okay,
And they have in their budget either 36 or 38,000. My understanding from an email that I got from our council, not from the person who did the job, it was gonna be 29,800.
and that will be coming out of the nursing home budget legal aid. Okay. Any further questions, Representative Schmidt? And then
Yeah,
Berger?
just out of my own curiosity, and I know we've incurred a great amount of legal fees. Could you briefly discuss the process of how a grievance works with an employee? Normally, in the business world, that would attempt to be settled at a lower level, and of course, it might escalate if it's not capable of being solved. But how does that work on a county level? Do you
County level.
automatically go into a legal
No.
defense? or-
No. We have a policy on harassment and a grievance policy. If there's a question as to whether the findings were correct or not, then we would go to legal counsel, okay? It was recommended to us by our insurance company that we do that in both cases. In the third case, we just hired a HR person, Janice Sullivan from Center Conway. She is an attorney, practicing in Massachusetts and Maine, not in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
She will do the third one. Because we didn't have a HR person, we had to go outside. Normally, the HR person would do the investigating.
Right.
Okay.
And hopefully settle it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Representative Umberger.
Yes. If I'm not mistaken, we had passed a motion that said that anything over $1,000 for transfer between accounts had to be approved by the delegation. And I think that what we're seeing under the legal fees and the auditor is that we will exceed the $1,000 requirement. So I guess that what this is saying is, if I'm, I think that was what we did, that sometime or other before that transfer is made, we'll have to have another meeting in order to make the transfer. So I am a little concerned that, I don't know when the bill is going to come in from the,
This one is already in, that's why it shows.
I know, but you have money in there to cover it. What you don't have money to cover is the auditor
Right.
or the next bill. And so
The next bill will come out of a different budget.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. So we don't have money to cover the auditor.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to figure out, is this going to be, the bill going to come in, or is the auditor bills going to come in before December 31st?
Should.
And how are you planning to pay the auditor? And where are you going to get the money from? And when do we need to meet in order to make that transfer prior to you paying the bill?
You can either do it right now, or you can do it on the 10th of December, when we present next year's budget.
Well, will
There's
you
no,
have, will you have paid the bill?
We've
I mean,
paid the 17,000, we have
I'm
not
talking about the
paid the
auditor.
audit. We have not paid the audit.
Okay. When is that bill due?
We haven't got it yet, I don't know when it's due. The auditing has taken place. I haven't got the bill.
Okay, but you can't pay it until we approve where you take the money from.
Would somebody in the delegation make a motion that we pay it and give us a chance to find the balance somewhere else in the budget for a transfer? If that's what you need?
Well, I mean, that's what you need in order to pay him.
Yeah, but you gotta make that decision.
Well, that's what I'm trying to ask is, I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to pay the auditor,
Mhm.
but do we wanna pre-approve it and let them take it from where they want? Or do we want to get together and say, yes? And I think, obviously, they've gotta pay the bill. And it doesn't sound like they have an idea where the money's gonna come from at this point. If they had that idea, then I wouldn't mind doing the prepay. But I do have a problem just approving a carte blanche for take the money from wherever you feel is appropriate or necessary.
Representative McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Unless I'm mistaken, some 16, perhaps longer, months ago, I proposed a resolution in accordance with Title II, Chapter 24 of the RSAs, which says the delegation may require the commissioners to get permission.
Yeah, I think it was.
That resolution was set aside because the delegation said they needed time to study it. It was never passed. Subsequent to that, the commissioners came out with their own promulgation of rules that said the county department heads would have to get permission from the commissioners to move appropriations from one line item to another. There is nothing in effect right now that requires the commissioners to get permission from the delegation to move appropriations from one line item to another.
Okay.
It was not passed.
Representative Fleck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, my recollection is the same as Representative McCarthy, and that is to say, I think we directed the commissioners in dealing with the department heads to limit what they were allowed to transfer. But I don't think we ever directed you to enact a limit on what you would transfer from within your budget, from within departments.
If I could, I think it's in the RSAs where the delegation may request the commissioners to get approval.
Right.
And sometimes the delegation says you will get approval. That is determined on department heads. I mean, moving money from one department to another, not within that department, the line items, okay? So if we move money from one department to another department, we have in the past gone to you to get that approval.
Yeah, we do. We do. You're encumbered when you're finished with the audit. You usually come and say, this is what we would do. That is what
Right.
would, probably, you may have that ready the 10th of December or not, because the audit's not done until the very end. Representative Algren and then Representative McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'm been here for 4 terms now, so I guess that's 8 years. And so about 4 years ago, what happened was we passed what Representative McCarthy is talking about, that the commissioners would have to come to us if they were going to change any appropriation. We've already passed that as a delegation about approximately 4 or 5 years ago, okay? But as part of that motion, we defined that an appropriation would be considered the amount of money for the department total on this budget, okay? So, once again, we did revisit the motion that Representative McCarthy introduced in the spring, and it failed, his motion, but we'd already had this other motion previously instituted about 4 years ago. And once again, we defined within that motion that an appropriation would be the total of a particular department. And the reason why is that it would give the commissioners the ability, and the department heads in conjunction, the ability to manage their money within their departments, but not be able to take money from Department A and transfer it over to Department B without giving our delegations, without obtaining the delegation's approval. So essentially what Representative Umberger, I think, is trying to communicate, since we're at the 95% level and we don't want to have to come back in 3 weeks, that perhaps we should make some sort of motion to allow them to make this, I can't recall the number, $17,000 we need to move?
Well, I don't know, according to, well, we don't know.
So
because
I think
we don't know what the audit bill
that's
is.
where we're at. Thank you for letting me speak.
Mhm. We don't know where the audit bill is, though, so we don't know how much they can transfer.
Approve up to.
Representative McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know what went on here 4 or 5 years ago, obviously, but I will say this. Whatever they decided about the bottom line, it's contrary to state law. State law specifically states in Title II, Chapter 24, that the bottom line is the accumulation of all appropriations. It is not an appropriation. An appropriation is tied in with a line item. And it specifically states that. The bottom line is not an appropriation, rather is the sum total of all appropriations. So to say that you're counting the bottom line as an appropriation is contrary to state law.
Kathy, can you tell me from last year what the audit cost last year?
I don't have that number with me, but we budgeted the 13,000, so that's what it is.
It's usually 13,004 is what we do for the audit. At the moment, all we've got is $846 left. Let's see, Representative Babson and then Mary.
Madam Chairman, I think there must be some confusion here, because only last week at the commissioners meeting, the commissioners voted to move, was it $3,000, David?
Yes.
From one
The
line
sheriff's
item
fund.
to another within the department. It was my recollection that anything, any movement over $1,000 had to be approved by the commissioners from any department, not us, but the commissioners.
The commissioners had to do it within, if there was another department head over 1,000, that's their internal policy.
Yes.
Yes, that's what they
But
are.
that's within departments.
But what we've got now ahead of us is that this is the commissioners trying to find some money from a
I
different
understand
account.
that from other
Yes.
accounts to pay for this.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that what we ought to do is not have them, a motion, if last year was 13.4, a motion not to exceed 13.4 would be in order so that they can do that as the audit comes about. Does the delegation feel that that is appropriate? Representative Merrow, you had
Well, the only thing that I would say on that is a town selectman, our audit goes up every year. I mean, maybe not a big increase, but it certainly doesn't stay the same from one year to the other.
You spend too much money.
You spend what you have to spend.
Representative Umberger.
Yes, I'm not, we also heard that they have additional legal fees to be paid. Not, the money that's been spent, the 18.5, only included, from what we were told, one, and not the other two. And so we not only don't know what the audit's going to cost us, we don't know what the other two legal fees are gonna cost us.
The one legal fee that is coming out of the nursing home, they have
Oh,
a pretty
that's-
good number,
Yeah,
they have
I'm
a pretty
sorry.
good handle
Wrong
on that.
one.
It's one more investigation that is happening, that is not finished yet, that apparently we don't know what the cost will be. No,
The third investigation is going to be done in-house.
in-house, so that's not gonna be that,
Well,
okay.
was this Janice Sullivan?
Yes.
She has been hired as the HR chief?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and so that,
She will do it.
okay. I
Representative
didn't
Merrow
understand
and then
that.
Representative Fleck.
Thank you. The commissioners are elected to manage the budget. I think we could have another meeting in a few weeks and we'd still be arguing over this type of thing. And I don't think that we're anywhere near as qualified to say where this money should be taken than the three commissioners that who should have a handle on this. They're not going over the bottom line. We have the same old problem with Representative McCarthy and everybody on what's a line item and what's an appropriation. And I think there was some legislation
That didn't pass.
last year that didn't pass. They tried to define that. So my feeling is, as long as they don't go over this bottom line, let the commissioners make the decision. They're in a much better
The
position.
bottom
You can
line,
come in here and argue
wait a
about
minute,
it.
the bottom line of special fees and services, or bottom line of the whole budget?
Well, in this particular case, I would let them do it for the whole budget.
Yeah, but the problem
Bottom
is
line of
that
the
we
budget.
have had a discussion before
Yeah.
saying we want to know what the commissioners are doing if it's over 1,000.
Well, I think they should let us know, but I don't think waiting and let them come in and presenting it would make me any more qualified
No,
to make
that's-
the decision
that
than I
is
could
true.
today.
Representative Fleck and then Schmidt and Umberger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, I would propose that we stay with the practice of having the commissioners come before the delegation when they have to transfer funds from one department to another. That seems to have worked. Your internal mechanisms, I think, are working with department heads. With that in mind, I'm not sure we're ready for a motion, but I would like to offer a motion that the commissioners be authorized to expend the funds necessary to meet the cost of unanticipated legal fees that arose over the HR issues that were in question.
The problem is that the legal
Second.
fees, it's the audit.
And the audit.
Well, and the audit. We could amend that to say, end the audit.
Seconded.
So motion by Representative Fleck, seconded by Representative Babson, to authorize the commissioners to spend what is needed for
To cover,
to cover the legal and audit
Auditing.
fees.
fees
related to the unanticipated legal actions that were taken related to the...
Unanticipated legal actions.
Are you
Okay.
sure you want that, or do you want to tell them they can move the money from different departments?
Well, I think the right to expend, I don't think we have to say it comes from different departments. They have the right to expend.
Oh, guys.
That's the intention.
Yeah, I understand I understand, so we're never going to get through. There is a meeting at 1 o'clock in this room. We also would like to be able to hear from the commissioner and going through this. So, okay, Representative Schmidt and Representative McCarthy.
I'll keep it very brief. I fully agree with Representative Fleck. Is there any doubt in anyone's mind that we're going to pay these audit fees? Are we going to pay? So come on, let's move the question, please, and we can move forward.
Representative Fleck made the motion. Who seconded it?
Second.
Second. I can't remember. Okay. To that, Representative Algren. Representative McCarthy and then Algren.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to point out to the delegation that state law already authorizes the commissioners to move funds. As long as it is used for another item that has been appropriated, to augment an existing appropriation. They can't move funds to spend money on something out of the blue. But the commissioners, by state law, have the authority right now, without anybody else's permission, to move funds from one line item to another, from one department to another, as long as it is used to augment a legal appropriation.
Thank you. Representative Algren, quickly, please.
Thank you. Just as a friendly amendment to Representative Fleck's motion, I just like to have some sort of dollar number that you're going to need to transfer tagged onto it, not just whatever, Can you give us?
Know.
Well, you must have a clue. You must, please, you must have some sort of realm of an idea of how much money you need to move between now and December.
It's a moot point, they don't need our permission.
Give us the authority to move 13,000, whatever's in that line item for auditing.
13.4.
13.4, up to 13.4 to pay the auditor.
I'd just like to offer that as a friendly amendment, that the amount that we're authorizing them to move is 13.4 to get that done.
Why don't we make it 15? Because the audit fees tend to go up every year. Why come back here for $1,000?
Okay,
I would go with the 15.
15 sounds.
Okay, there's a motion by Representative Fleck, second by Representative Knox, and you can say it again. Yeah, Representative Babson, I'm
Madam
sorry.
Chairman, we still have the issue of the unpaid legal fees, so we want to just put it in for the 13 for the accounting and leave the legal fees are open-ended?
I see
Or
that.
can we vote on this friendly amendment? Because I'd like to vote against it.
Okay, because what will happen is there's one legal
How
fee
friendly
of
is that?
17 that's been paid. The other one is the nursing home that has got money in their legal fees to do it. The other legal issue is coming up and is going to be done in-house. So there is no, we don't need to have a third amount of money because that's going to be done in-house. Okay, so that what we have is that move up to 15,000 for HR and audit. HR issues and audit, is that what you want? Is that what you
HR,
said?
the legal fees, unanticipated legal fees, and audit.
And unanticipated legal fees and audit. Okay, 15,000, yes, Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. If Representative McCarthy is right, that they don't need our permission in this particular case, and I think he is. I don't agree with him on some, but I agree with him on this. Why are we even talking about this?
Because listen, we've been having this discussion all this time,
But I
let's
mean,
just vote and just do it. We'll either say yes or no. If we say no, then they can figure out what they want to do and talk to council, all right? Because we've already had more than a half an hour on the 20 minutes on this. All those in favor of the commissioners having the right to expend for unanticipated legal fees and audit up to
Not spend.
15,000.
Move. Transfer, not spend.
To transfer. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Representative McCarthy in the negative. All right, so you can do that for 15,000. All right. Human resources, they're at 36%. We okay with that? Any questions?
Just one question.
Representative Murray.
The new person we hired, did we hire them at the same salary?
50,000.
Or
No,
was
it's
that
not
an
the same
increase?
salary.
It's not the same.
Was it an increase?
No,
it's
it's less.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Waterworks.
She's on 6 months probation, though.
Waterworks at 37%. Attorney at 46%. Victim witness at 47%. Registry of Deeds, and you have a copy of what I sent out to you from Ann at 46%. The Sheriff's Department at 47%. Remember, this is for the half-year, second gun. Dispatch Center, we're there at 44. Yes, Representative Babson.
I'd just like to ask, these figures are through 8/24.
No, June 30th.
June 30th.
This is the second, this is the second
Oh, I'm
quarter.
sorry, okay.
All right,
Yeah, that takes care of my question.
all right. Dispatch Center at 44%. Any question? Okay, medical referee, 39%. Looks like we've had a lot of transports, but we'll figure that one out. Administration building at 39%. Human Services Department at 52. Let's see, maintenance, 48%. Questions? Yes, Representative Algren.
Thank
Sorry.
On the, if this is on the Human Services Department, I mean, 52% is just a little over, but it is an awfully large $4 million number. And I was just wondering what impact that, do we anticipate the rest of the 6 months to be a little lower, so that'll come in okay, or, how does that flow?
We're on page 7, and we're on Human Services Department.
Yeah, line 56, the DEAS number. I know it's only at 52%, but it's a $4 million number, so that's a pretty big number, and I was just wondering if we anticipated that that's still going to be okay.
It should be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Sewer system at 43%. Jail and House of Corrections at 44%. Representative Babson?
I think Jason mentioned to me that we're gonna have an unanticipated medical expense or something, right, Jason?
Yes, sir.
It might throw this thing out of whack here and there. Did you ask him about it?
Jason, you'd like to give us a clue, and it must be on count number 25, which would be at 100 and, we're at 39% on that line item right there. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. We had a person incarcerated with us for between 4 and 6 months. We had to spend almost half my medical budget on just that one individual. So for the rest of this year, we're going to be over budget for that particular line.
Do we still have the inmate in question still with us?
No, he's been sentenced.
Okay, all right.
No chance of early parole?
He's been sentenced.
You'll be dealing with that on a state.
Then he can go back in here again.
Okay, so jail and House of Corrections at 44%, but be aware that we're going to be
I keep telling you, get those
high on the
bracelets.
medical.
Get those bracelets. Get those people out of
The farm, we're at 42%. And thank goodness the days of talking about hay are over, Representative Nelson. I'm sorry. Cooperative extension at 50%. We're okay with that. Interest expense at 43%. Long-term debt at 7%. Does that mean we're not paying our bills? No, you know.
We don't pay it till August.
Not until August, so it's coming up. All right. Regional appropriations, let's go with the total, we're at 49%, but conservation districts at 50%, RSVP at 49%, child advocacy at 50%, and the the home and health care Okay, so overall, that's okay. Nothing for capital reserve. Carroll County Convention, we're at 40%. That's pretty good. Capital expenditures, 0. Total fund that we have at the 8,855,000 is at 42%, okay? I run into the enterprise nursing home administration at 48%. Any questions? Nursing home dietary, we're doing good at 47. The nursing department at 47%. Plant operations at 46%. What have we got? Sewer? Septic removal, is that the one that's high?
Yes.
Yeah. That must be because we have a bigger stuff to pump.
Yes, ma'am.
Septic?
There's 3 grease tanks now
Yeah.
that flow out of there
Yeah.
versus 1 before.
Yeah.
And then there's 3 other tanks that are out there also. We got a regular, so there's the way it flows. But that's, I believe, largely the grease traps of being more than we used to have.
Okay, that's good. Probably next year, you're gonna need to put some more money into the budget for the grease traps?
Does that mean we have more greasy food?
No, we have more places. We have more places that grease is collected. Did you hear what he said? Instead of 1, we've got 3.
Yeah, but it's all out of the, it's all out of the kitchen. It's not, you don't collect grease anyplace else other than in the kitchen. Unless
Where are we at?
you have other places that I'm not aware of.
Okay.
There's 3 levels of separation to grease in the new grease system, whereas at the old building, there was only 1 level of separation. So you're actually collecting more grease and less of it getting out into the sewer system. It's a modern grease collection system where the old one was antiquated, just had 1 tank.
Doing a better job.
So what you're saying is we're not collecting more grease, we're just
We're
accumulating.
separating it. Well, what we're doing is we're collecting more grease because it's not going out into the leach field. That's a good thing. Just do some more money in the next budget for it. Laundry department at 40%, okay? Housekeeping department at 48%. Physicians in pharmacy, 46%. Physical therapy at 41%. Recreational therapy at 44%. Social services department at 47%. Special services, we're up at 42% overall for the enterprise fund at 47%. And the grand total on page 18, we're at 44% as of June 30th for the budget. So that is good, thank you. You'll also see that there is a budget history that Kathy has given us a good chart for the information for us to know. And let's quickly go through the revenues. Page 1, county general is at 50%. Sheriff's income, and we're doing, other income, we're doing some good stuff, getting more money on the other income. Is that bracelets? Other income?
All right. We pay dues into the New Hampshire Association of Counties, and they've been accumulating that, and they decided to give back to each of the counties money. That's what counts for that increase.
Okay, that's good. Nice to get that, all right. Registry of Deeds income at 54%.
Good job.
That's good. Jail and House of Correction at 44%. Farm income at 32%. This is where the hay is, I'm sorry. Maintenance income at 50%. Interest income, we don't get paid except 4%. We must be getting it in August, right? Okay. So that's good. Other revenue at 25%, 27%. Overall at 46%. Yes. Representative Alden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just need my memory refreshed on the line number 95.85, the proceeds from bond on page 2.
Mm-hmm.
The 1.175. How will we receive that money?
It would be like at the end of the year, just a journal entry.
And that's our payment? Or?
No, that's the proceeds we did not spend of the 23.5. We're using some of that as revenue. That was that vote.
So this is the proceed, this is the money that, if I may continue or follow up. So this is the money that we voted to take from the bond and put into the budget to offset taxes. That's what that money is. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Representative Babson.
I don't want to quote our lovely chairman who usually says I'm not very good in math, but just quickly, down 4% at the end of 6 months, that's off pretty near $700,000 in revenue, if my math is correct.
Right at 46%? We're off 700,000? Is that what you're telling me?
You know, 4% would be 50, and we're through 50% of the year. If my math is right, that's about $700,000, $688,000.
Right, and if I may interject, and $1.175 million has not been put into that we have. So we're okay.
Where is that?
That was the question I just asked. If you look up on, if I may continue, if you look up on line 85, you see that proceeds from bond for $1.175 million?
Line 85, where's line 85?
Right over
Page
here.
2.
Under other revenue.
Under other revenue, 95, 85.
Oh, yeah, okay, I got it.
See that 1.175 million?
Yep.
That hasn't been put in yet, but that's the money that we're just going to transfer essentially from the bond to here. So
that'll take care of it.
That'll take care of it.
Thank you.
I never said I was good. I never said you weren't good at or it's me that's not good at math.
I was just quoting, man.
Okay, let's go to the enterprise fund for the nursing home income at 57. And that means that the full amount of the enterprise fund is at 57, and overall, for both, we're at 50%. So thank you, Representative Alden.
Yes, thank you. I just want to kind of point out here that on the enterprise fund with the nursing home, that we've incurred, $5.5 million and change, 5.541 million in cost, and we brought in 5.691 million, which is basically $150,000 profit at the 6-month time frame. And I'm assuming that since this report was written August 24th, that we...
It's for June 30th. It doesn't matter when it was printed. It's June 30th.
Thank you.
We're not into the third quarter.
Okay, so since this report was printed, or you generated this report on August 24th, that any of the entries that you've had up until that point that were dated for June would be in there?
Yes, everything.
Anything that's dated June 30th, yeah.
Okay, so you've had a chance to get all of those entries in there so that these numbers should be good. Okay, so now in years past, the 2 previous years, this will be the 3rd year, the nursing home has shown to be either basically breaking even or making $100,000 at the 6-month time frame, but at the end of the year for the past 3 years, it's lost between $800,000 and $1 million. Okay, So my question is, have we figured out why that is, and can we expect that to happen again this year, that we will lose $1 million in nursing home? Or should we be able to anticipate that we're going to break even? Have we had a chance to figure out why this keeps occurring?
No, I'm hoping that we're gonna break even.
Can you tell us why in the past 3 years
Next
that...
6 months.
Pardon me?
Who knows what's gonna happen in the next 6 months?
You know what's, if I may continue, I'm sorry, but you know what's happened in the next 6 months from the previous 2 years. Those have already occurred. So in the year 2010, you came and told us that the nursing home was breaking even or even in the black, and then at the 6-month level, and then at the end of the year, it had lost $1 million. So from that year, you should be able to tell us why that occurred. And then from 2011, you should be able to go through the same process to tell us why that occurred. And then this year, answer to me why in the previous 2 years it did occur, but in this next year it's not going to occur because we figured out why, or it is going to occur because we get a bill for $500,000 that we always get in August or September, and it's not in there, and we don't have the revenues to compensate for that. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what we're coming down to. And, you know, I sure would like to know why that's going to happen, and I'm cautiously optimistic, like I just said, same thing last year, that we will break even. But based on the history of what we've seen, I find it at this juncture to be unlikely unless I've been given an answer.
Kathy?
Okay, can I give you, we don't know 100% for sure what revenues we're gonna have. It depends on the residents that we get in. But this year, our expenditures for the nursing home are $11,761,000 budgeted. The revenues for the nursing home are budgeted at 9.927. Okay, so we should show a loss. But what has happened in years past and what has happened this year is we get pro-share money that we do not budget for. So in June of this year and in prior years, we have gotten pro-share money that boosts up our 6-month level.
Okay.
This year, in particular, we are getting an additional pro-share money in August that we have not budgeted for, of $800,000. So that will boost up the revenue from what we're budgeting to what will be actual of possibly $1.4 million, which makes the difference between the expenditure and the revenue closer.
Even.
Thank you. That was an excellent answer.
That's what I tried to tell you. We anticipate we're gonna break even.
And the reason why. Okay. Any further discussion on our budget, on our expenditures and revenue? And now, I would like to have a discussion with Commander Ayers. We'll talk about our next meeting in a little bit. And excuse us for having us be so late.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting me in to speak real quick. As you all know, I'm very interested, along with a few other people, in organizing a committee to resurrect the old nursing home into a homeless shelter for veterans and non. We've got a lot of work to do. We started jumping into it. It's not going to be easy, by all means. It's definitely not going to be easy. I'm here today solely to ask a few folks to give us some time to get our stuff together and at least hold up on the wrecking ball on the old nursing home until we can prove to you that we can finance it and fund it without asking the taxpayers to raise their town tax and what have you. I don't have a lot of good answers right now because I haven't had time to get my act together with, been working with Dorothy and Adam and Governor Shaheen's office, Senator Shaheen's office is helping a little bit. Got a long ways to go, like I said. So if you could just consider that for us, we'd love to move on with it. The biggest problem is if I'm gonna spend all this time, in Adam's time, on getting it together, then have it tore down anyway, I'd like an answer, that's all. So if you could please work with me, that would be great.
Yeah, one of the things that has happened is we have been having this discussion about what we do with the nursing home for probably, Representative McConkey, 8 months to a year.
At least.
We have not been able to come to a 2/3 majority vote to be able to, right? To be able to take it down. So as of the moment, the wrecking ball isn't even at the complex. It is still out there. The next delegation, which is, let me see, they will be voted in November, will probably have the discussion with you or among themselves about what they're going to do, whether the wrecking ball will come in or not. That is the best input I think that we can give you. I assume that the delegation would listen to any proposal that you have. Our budget hearings are in December, about the second week in December. And we have to have our budget, the delegation has to have the budget approved by the 31st of March. So from now until then, the wrecking ball hasn't hit the complex yet. Doesn't mean that it isn't going to come, doesn't mean that it is going to come. So if you have a proposal, the sooner the better, and you have your reps on the campaign trail, and I would assume that you would be able to talk to them and at least ask for time to be able to come up with a proposal. And again, there are no guarantees that they will agree to the proposal, or that they will. There's no guarantee that they won't agree to it, so that it is really up in the air. But for my stance here, I think that you probably have time to put a proposal together, unless the delegation members that are running would rather tell me to go someplace else. Is there any disagreement that there is time to look at it, but there is no guarantee that the wrecking ball doesn't arrive?
Would it be inappropriate to ask to be put on the November?
Well, the November, that's when they get elected.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that the next time that this delegation will be together, I'm going to set it for December 10th. So if this delegation agrees, maybe what we do is put you on for December 10th, if that's what the delegation wants to do. What do you think? All of you that are running again, are you ready for listening on the 10th? Yes or no? Tell me yes or no. Representative McConkey.
I think if they would update us at that date, that would be wonderful. I laud them for their mission, as I'm hearing it, to be a self-funding entity. And we'd certainly, I'm sure, speak for the others that will be back. I don't know if it'll be me, but we'd love to hear that update on that time, so we know where you were. Very well.
Yep. So that what we will do is put the commander back on the agenda for the 10th of December, which will be Organization Day for the delegation, budget hearing for the commissioners, for the public, and to hear what is happening with your plan. Okay?
One correction,
Yeah.
if I could. It's the American Legion, not the VFW.
American Legion. Okay. And is that's not post 46 then?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is. American Legion for post 46. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We're all set with that. And as you can tell, what I'll do is the outgoing chair, the delegation can set the date for Organization Day, which is, you're going to be, whoever is elected will be down in Organization Day, December 5th, which is the first Wednesday of December, and I will set the first Monday, that Monday following, which is the 10th of September, for the organization for the new delegation and for the budget hearing process. So if everybody's happy with that, yes, Representative Babson.
Refresh my memory, Madam Chairman. When do we vote on the proposed or the wages for incoming elected officers?
We already have.
We already have.
We did that in June?
We did that
That's
in
right,
June.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, we did that in June. We got that date. Representative Baldwin, did you have something?
So,
No? Representative Umberger.
okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, the swearing in for the delegate, for the members of the House will be on the 5th of December.
Yes.
Okay. And so when we come here on the 10th, it will be to elect a chairman, a clerk, whatever, and the budget presentation and the Legion. That's just seems to me like a lot on the agenda. And so I guess that what we're suggesting is that if you are running and you win, you need to plan the 10th to be here for a long time. Okay, because it won't be snap, snap, snap. It'll be a long time. So just put that in your memory bank, and we won't want any complaints. And that goes for the new commissioners too.
Good enough. And I'm not going to be here.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I do know that you've got 3 people running for election. The sheriff, the attorney, and the register of deeds that all have, I guess, Ann, you don't have any opponent, do you? So, unless it's a write-in. And so, the sheriff and the attorney may or may not be ready to come forth with anything because it's based on what's going on now, not necessarily what the newly elected person, whether it's the same one or not, may desire. That's all I have.
Okay, Representative Babson.
If I'm calculating this correctly, this is your last meeting as chairman, is it not, Matt? I personally, and I think I speak for the others, would like to thank you for the service you put in. Heavens, I can't remember back how far it is now. Thank you, chairman of this delegation, and thank you very much for the service and the good job that you've done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I have enjoyed. I'm going to enjoy even more not being here. And so I don't think, public input. Is there public input out there? Thank you, Reverend. Yes,
I don't
Kathy.
really have public input, but I just want to have like little housekeeping.
Yes, little housekeeping. You can stand up.
Do we have any minutes that need to be approved before you all, like the last meeting minutes?
Yeah, I know. We knew you
For the
wanted to come back.
I mean, these minutes obviously you can't, but the last meeting that we had, I think, Michelle, you have
I can't
copies?
remember.
She's got copies of the minutes.
April 16.
But were all the other minutes approved?
We did go through a point, but not for, I think we went and, let me see.
That would be in those minutes.
Probably like the last meeting.
Last meeting is the only one we haven't.
This last.
We haven't had a meeting since April.
Yes.
No, but we need to approve those minutes.
Is this the only minutes we need to do? I'm trying to see.
As far as I know, we've taken care of all the others.
It doesn't seem like we have them listed here.
I think we did it, but the meeting before that.
Okay, there's that, before we adjourn, okay.
Thank you, Kathy, for.
Yeah, Michelle has the.
Okay, let's
the
do,
book too with all the other minutes.
I think probably April 16th is the last time we got together. So is there a motion to approve the April 16 minutes?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Second by Representative Schmidt.
I move we go to convention.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay. There's a motion by Representative Umberger to go into convention, second by Representative Fleck. All those that go into, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we're in convention.
I move we approve the minutes of the 16th.
Second.
Okay, and there's a motion by Representative Umberger to approve the minutes of April 16th with a second by Representative Knox. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Come out of convention by
So move.
Umberger moves to come out. Flex seconds. Out.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That's it. Thank you. Okay, so
Okay.
those minutes are approved. Anything else, Kathy?
Just one thing,
Mhm.
every library, every selectman's office has a copy of the annual report. If any representative gets questions on budgets and so forth, it's all in this book.
Yep.
Libraries and selectmen offices.
Yes, that's good. Representative Umberger.
Yes. I know that Dave said, I'm sorry, Representative Babson.
A lot of Daves here, you know.
I know. Said, thank you to Representative Patton, our chairman, and I sincerely agree with that. But we also have some representatives who will not be sitting at this table next year. And it's actually quite a healthy number. And so I would like to personally thank Joe, our vice chairman, Dave Knox, Dave Babson, Lori Pettingill, and Dino Scalia.
Okay, they're not running.
They're not running.
Mhm.
And so, and of course, Norm Tregenza, who is running but is no longer serving. And so I hope I have got everybody that is a delegation member, and if I count those up, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So
And I think we get 15 next year.
5 out
yes,
of 15.
and we do.
Yep.
So that's
So
five
that's good.
of you that have served, and I truly thank you for your contributions.
Thank you.
Here, here.
Good luck.
All right, anything else?
We're taking our placards, okay?
Okay, you do that. Any public input? We all through with public input? Okay, a motion to adjourn at 11:55.
So moved.
So moved by Representative Umberger, seconded by Representative Fleck. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, we're out. Enjoy the rest of the time, enjoy the campaign.